Asia's biggest agro exhibition, Maha, is back. Bring your family to discover the agriculture, horticulture, and agritourism with exciting attractions and live performances by your favorite artists. Maha 2026, 28th August to 6 September at My Amsterdam.
Nurul Izzah Anwar has responded to criticism over her decision to step down as PKR's number 2. Meanwhile, a DAP leader has called on the party to make clear that it can revisit its decision in the future if delegates vote on Sunday to remain in the government. All this and more on KiniNews. Nurul Izzah Anwar has addressed her decision to step down as PKR's deputy president. In her speech at the party's annual congress today, she reflected on criticism that has followed her throughout her political journey.
Saya memilih untuk terus berjuang bukan secara terus dalam parti, tapi menerusi laluan masyarakat madani. Teman-teman seperjuangan, for some people it was unacceptable that I lost in 2022. And for some people, it was unacceptable that I won in 2025. And for others, it was just unacceptable that I am leaving in 2026. You cannot please everyone, but you can only remain true to yourself.
After her speech, members of the press attempted to hold a doorstop interview with Nurul Izzah, but she declined to answer questions, including those on her decision to step down. In a Facebook post on August 6, Nurul Izzah had confirmed her intention to relinquish the party's number 2 post. PKR Communications Director Fahmi Fadzil said the party's central leadership had received her resignation request earlier that day, but instead granted her temporary leave beginning after the annual congress concludes this weekend. In her speech, Nurul Izzah also expressed a desire to see the party evolve to become immune to factions or hidden hands influencing decisions. She warned that internal division will only weaken the party. Without elaborating on the events leading up to her call, she stressed that the more time PKR spends its energy fighting and squabbling over internal disputes, it risks losing out on efforts to win the hearts of the people.
Saya berdiri di atas pentas wanita dan AMK bukan mewakili fraksi. Saya jalankan amanah saya selaku outgoing timbalan presiden yang mahukan masa depan keadilan yang kalis fraksi. Kita ni tak mampu kuat sebagai sebuah organisasi kalau wujudnya parti dalam parti, saudara-saudari. Dua nakhoda mengemudi satu kapal ataupun adanya tangan gaib, struktur kuasa tersembunyi di sebalik kuasa yang zahir. Kita juga tak mampu kuat sebagai sebuah organisasi selagi tenaga kita dihabiskan dalam pertelingkahan dalaman. Setiap jam yang kita gunakan untuk bertelagah sesama sendiri adalah jam yang tidak kita gunakan untuk memenangi hati rakyat. Jadi saya fikir fokus kita insya-Allah membulatkan tekad kepada agenda merakyatkan ekonomi, bersaing dalam melakukan kebaikan, fastabiqul khairat, menerusi kemenangan dalam pilihan raya sebenar, iaitu pilihan raya umum atau pilihan raya peringkat negeri.
Meanwhile, PKR's Secretary General Fuzia Saleh said no time limit had been set for Nurul Izzah's leave. Asked about the matter today, she said the party was ready to welcome Nurul Izzah back to her duties when she was ready to resume her responsibilities.
Setakat ini, kita tidak ada memberi had masa kepada timbalan Presiden untuk bercuti kerana beliau ingin menyambung pelajarannya, ya. Dan insya-Allah kita sedia apabila beliau bersedia untuk meneruskan tugas. Okey. Ya? Tak dengar. Timbalan Presiden akan bercuti selepas Kongres. Ya, menyelesaikan tugas sewaktu Kongres. Ya, maksudnya perasmian MK wanita dan kemudian nanti dalam Kongres, penggulungan dan sebagainya. Dan selepas itu baru Timbalan Presiden akan bercuti.
From now on, you can also listen to KiniNews on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Scan the QR code on the screen to follow us. DAP Deputy Secretary General Ramkarpal Singh wants the party to make clear that delegates can reconsider their decision to remain in government if future developments prove detrimental to the party's interests. In a statement ahead of the DAP convention on Sunday, Ramkarpal said this should be emphasized to avoid the impression that voting to remain in government for the rest of the parliamentary term would amount to a commitment to stay no matter what. He said this is as there could be compelling reasons for the party to reconsider its position in the future. One scenario he raised was if UMNO insists on seeking a pardon and eventual release for its convicted former president Najib Abdul Razak. Ramkarpal said delegates should be free to decide then whether such a move crosses a red line and, if so, whether it warrants the party's withdrawal from government. He said allowing delegates the flexibility to revisit their decision, whether or not it was labeled an exit clause, would be in the party's best interests. His remarks come as DAP prepares for what he describes as a historic convention that could determine the party's direction for the remainder of the parliamentary term. More than 4,200 DAP delegates will gather in Putrajaya on Sunday to decide whether the party should remain in the federal government until the end of its term. The release of the Tabung Haji Royal Commission of Inquiry report has reignited calls for accountability. But legal experts say the report itself is only the starting point. Former Court of Appeal Judge Yaacob Sam said the RCI report alone cannot, by themselves, form the basis for prosecuting anyone. According to Bernama, he said the report was not legally binding and could not be used as evidence in criminal or civil proceedings under the Commissions of Inquiry Act 1950. He explained that only evidence gathered independently by enforcement agencies through their investigations can be presented in court. Yaacob, who has served as a conducting officer and secretary for several RCIs, said not every instance of mismanagement automatically amounts to a criminal offense. He said criminal charges would depend on whether specific legal elements can be proven. These could include criminal intent, criminal breach of trust, fraud, or conflicts of interest that resulted in benefits or gains for those involved. Meanwhile, lawyer Hanif Kachi Abdullah said criminal action should be taken if investigations uncover that an offense has been committed and there is sufficient evidence. He also proposed establishing a special unit within the Attorney General's chambers to coordinate and review investigation papers related to the RCI submitted by the police and MACC. Earlier, MACC Chief Commissioner Abdul Halim Aman reportedly said that the Commission had opened 14 investigation papers and conducted arrests, remand applications, seizures, inspections, and searches at 28 premises. UMNO's Secretary General Ashraf Washi Dusuki has denied any involvement in Tabung Haji decisions during his tenure as Deputy Minister. This came after questions were raised about his presence at a 2017 signing ceremony linked to the Al Rauda investment. In a response to a post on Facebook, Ashraf claimed that there was a coordinated effort to damage his reputation. He explained that he attended the event in his capacity as Malaysia's chief of the Hajj delegation in 2017, replacing the minister. According to Ashraf, as he was in Makkah at the time, he was invited to represent the minister at the ceremony. The post had shared a photograph from the event showing him alongside then Tabung Haji chairperson Abdul Aziz Abdul Rahim and others involved in signing a 10-year lease extension agreement. In his response, Ashraf stressed that a deputy minister had no authority over operational decisions or approval processes of agencies under the Prime Minister's department, including Tabung Haji. He also pointed to the Tabung Haji Act, which places responsibility for administration and operations with its CEO and management, while the chairperson and board served as a check and balance, with major policies referred to the minister for a final decision. Ashraf said this was also why he had never been questioned by the Royal Commission of Inquiry or enforcement agencies. Questions on the matter had come up after Finance Minister 2, Amir Hamza Azizan, told Parliament that Al Rauda recorded the biggest loss among 14 problematic Tabung Haji investments. He also said investigators should determine who benefited from the transaction and whose interests were being protected. And that is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to Kinitv.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, X, YouTube, and Facebook for the latest news updates. I'm Camelia. Thanks for watching.